Good morning everybody, welcome to another YouTube live. First of all, give me a yes if you can hear me nice and clear and you can see the Forex Factory calendar in front of you. If you can, there's only one news event I'm going to be paying attention today, and that is at 1:30 we have CAD, core retail sales, that are out. I'm not expecting a major move, but it's something to pay attention to. So good morning Ashraf, Sarah, Marcus, Ian, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Apologies for being an hour earlier. I actually have an appointment at 10. I've got somebody coming to the house, so this is going to be an hour's session, if that's okay with you guys. And if you do have any questions throughout YouTube Live, please post them in. I'll answer them as best I can do. If you have a setup or a currency pair or a question you want to ask, just post it in the chat and I will respond. But apart from that, I have a few currency pairs I do want to run through today, and we're going to start off with the Aussie Dollar CAD. Now, just while I'm bringing this over, this is YouTube Live, and it typically has a 10 to 15 second delay, which can make it a little bit awkward when we're trying to interact live. So please bear with me while YouTube has that delay. So here on the Aussie Dollar CAD, if you have anything on here, please post it in. If not, morning said. If not, we will crack on with this review, and I'm looking at a head and shoulders. So I'm going to put a structure level on right at the very lows down here and just zoom out. And to get a little bit of perspective, you guys know that the bigger the reaction we see, for me, the higher the probability when we come back down to this area that we're going to see a reaction again. And this is the dailies, and look at the reaction we've seen. We've had a massive rally down to this point and a massive rally all the way back. So even though this is just one test, I am expecting a reaction. Do we also have an advanced pattern here? Not too sure if we do. Look at that, I'd missed this, but X to A to B, B to C, CD completion was for a Gartley pattern. Okay guys, so the confluence has just gone up on this currency pair. One second guys, 1 second. You know what, I've looked at this incorrectly. Right, apologies guys, I thought we had a head and shoulders. Structure level on here at the lows, and we violated to the downside, didn't we? What I was looking at this morning was we had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, and then right here we'd violated to the upside. Unfortunately, this means that this trade is null and void because we violated structure. What a letdown, what a letdown. I'm going to have to scrub this one out. Really hoping we had a head and shoulders there. Let's just go back to the dailies. No, okay, sorry guys, scrubbing out the potential head and shoulders. Okay, let's go over to the Aussie dollar. We've got a what I call a potential violation trade. It isn't within the educational material. It's a strategy I developed a year, 2 years ago, something like that. I don't implement it very often, and it doesn't happen that often, but I'm going to talk through what the potential setup is. So here on the Aussie dollar, morning George, here on the Aussie dollar we have a swing in the market. We had the market that came lower, we saw a pullback, it came lower, it physically put in a new low, only just though, and what happened then is we actually rallied the other way and violated this level. We then pulled back, and now once again we've now seen a move upwards. So we are within this big wick, and we can see buying pressure at any time, and the market has now indicated to us that it could be going bullish, because from this move here we had an initial structure high because we violated this level, we pulled back, and once again now we've made a new structure high. So if I was to predict where the market would come to, I would say it would come up here to the wicks. Let me just throw a trend line on. Do we have a trend line here? Well, look at that. we have a trend line here, so we have a conflict that's going on. However, the way I draw these trend lines is on the closes of the candles. Now we couldn't get that one on the closes of the candles because it needs to be the most recent one that's on the closes of the candles, which actually means that we violated that trend line. So for me, that now no longer carries any weight, and I'm still looking at the market coming higher up until this point. Good morning, Ryan. Welcome to the webinar. And so I'm predicting a move higher here, even though there isn't a great deal of confirmation. But what I'm looking at is the violation trade is when we see a momentum candle that violates a major level of structure. I'm going to put two structure levels on just here, one at the close of the candles and one at the top of the wicks, and this would be the price reversal zone, wouldn't it? And the top one is what we violated, so that gives us the confirmation that we could be going higher. And as we look left for structure, we do have this major double bottom retest down here. So the way that I can look at this is that we simply highlight the price reversal area, which is between those two wicks, and we drop down one time frame. And I'm then allowed to look within this zone for the market to come lower and give me a higher high, higher close. I will then have my stop 10 pips below the low, and I will then play for a retest of the highs and any extension as well. We do have an advanced pattern here for you guys that are interested. If it's valid for you, it would be valid for me, but we have X to A to B, B to C, CD completion up here. So that's something I'm going to be looking at going into next week on the Aussie dollar. Any questions on that, guys? If not, I'm going to go over to the euro yen, and we are still getting the breakout on that flag pattern. Euro yen, let's delete this off. We had some nice movement yesterday afternoon. Didn't really catch any of it. It didn't really produce anything for me. But we still have, sorry, that's the euro Aussie, guys. Euro yen. Euro yen, the flag, looking for the breakout. So here on the dailies, we have a directional pole. We have the market adhering to this channel. We duplicate it to move it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. We now have the confirmed breakout of this channel. Yesterday this candle was a confirmed break below, close below, giving us the breakout of the channel. Now it does mean that we are still within the wick here and within this level. However, because this is a breakout pattern, this carries more weight for me, so I can be more aggressive even though we're within those wicks. Okay, so what I'm going to be looking for now, guys, is I'm going to be looking for a pullback to this trend line, in particular to the wicks. Okay, that's going to be very likely the highest probability that we're going to turn. The second would be this level, and the third would be all the way back up here, which would be unlikely. So for me, I'm going to be more aggressive as we come into these wicks and into this trend line structure. So I can go ahead, good grief, didn't want to do that. I can go ahead and reduce down to the 240 and draw out the trend. We had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, a move lower to here. I'm actually going to move it down to the low of this big spike, which makes it a bit ugly, but then we saw the pullback. And then we had a move lower down to this point. So the technical outside return is this big old area right here. So we actually have two kill zones. I'm actually going to, yeah, we'll leave that on. So anywhere within this highlighted outside return and the smaller price reversal zone here is really going to be the key level that I'm going to be looking at. We can throw on some fibs, and we have a 382 that comes in to the middle of that. I will be dropping down further. Might not be able to use the 60 actually. This is going to have to be a 240 entry. So yeah, I'm going to wait for the market to come up to this point, ideally up to this trend line, and give me a 3-bar reversal with the RSI confirmation or a double top. And then I will use that as the shorting opportunity to play for either a retest of these lows as a minimum, and then secondary targets I'm going to be looking for that big 127 extension. And that would bring us down to roughly around the lows of this big wick here. So there are literally hundreds of pips up for grabs, 200. And so I will be monitoring that. It's likely going to be next week now for this one. Anything on the euro yen, guys? Anything that you are looking at? If it's a no, then, oh good grief, all my charts have just closed. Oh, I hate Ninja sometimes. Do you get that, guys, when you move a chart back and you kind of do it a little bit of a circle, it minimizes everything, and the maximize button doesn't work for me because all it does is maximize everything. It doesn't put it back in its original place. Real pain, real pain. Went to the beach yesterday. Got sunburnt. Very, very unusual for me. I only spent 15 minutes in the sun. I was in the shade the entire time. I was just relaxing, to be honest with you, and caught too much sun. The good thing is, in a few days I'll have a great tan. So that's it for the euro yen, guys. Nothing on there. I will move over to the euro Aussie, the trend continuation trade that we banked. Was it 22 pips? I think in the end we banked. George, if you take that same chart and shake it left to right again, it will pop everything up. No, really, all these years. Right, I am making it up. So we shake left to right. Oh, things like that drive me insane because it's just wasted time of me having to reload the chart. I did not know that. George, so glad you're in the room. Right. We've been through this a few times in the Euro Aussie. We've got this big head and shoulders. We did catch a nice little trend continuation trade yesterday. Just 22 pips. And it was this. We had come into this area right here, into the wicks. And as we dropped down the time frames, actually it was on the 15, guys. So this was the wicks right here. As we dropped down the time frame to the 15, then we actually had this trend that set up. So a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback. Right here, guys, tell me what you see. You should be saying a doji, Chris. We saw a doji right at previous structure highs. We then waited for confirmation for a lower low, lower close. And then what I did was I waited for price to pull back. And we actually got quite a good entry up here. Stops were like this. Targets were a retest of the very lows down here. And we managed to bank ourselves 22 pips. So those of you that subscribe to the Signal service, well done. That did just put me in profit for the week. It's been a tough week, to be honest with you, with trades. We've taken a lot of trades and we're still only back at break even, which is a shame, but that was a nice trade. But bigger picture now, guys, if we go back to the 60, we have made a new low just here, so we are still in trend and we can be more aggressive because we have that head and shoulders. So if you're looking for an entry, a lower low, lower close here, and a continuation a lot lower. So I will be monitoring this throughout the day because this could happen today. Did anybody take the Euro Aussie 15-minute trend continuation trade? Just give me a yes if you did. That should have put you in profit. Put me in profit for the week. I know some of you guys, when I send out the signals, some of you are a little bit late getting involved. and that results in sometimes you guys getting a better price, very rarely a worse price actually, because typically as soon as I get my entry it reverses 5-10 pips, something like that. So it put me just in profit for the week. I don't know about you guys. Are you guys in profit for the week, or you like me, just barely in profit? We'll move the Euro Aussie over, by the way, guys. Say a little bit short on time, so apologies if I'm going a little bit too quick for everybody here, but if you do have a question I will stop and answer it and go through it in a lot more detail. So Euro Aussie, okay, Euro New Zealand, let's bring that over. Let me move this down. Yep. It's a bit of a pain, this 15-second delay. I mean, I like YouTube Live because everybody can just click on the link that's subscribed and it's really easy, but that delay is a bit of a pain. In the near future I may change over to a company where it's real-time interaction. So Euro New Zealand, guys, yesterday we got a lot of reactions on the euros where we were looking for shorts and they all came off, but it didn't give us those entries. But still looking short here, guys. You can look at an AB equals CD pattern here as a minimum, and we still haven't reached that destination, and even an AB equals CD pattern only really brings you down to this level. I would still expect price to come significantly further, but that would be my initial targets because the RSI here is oversold. So yeah, just be a little bit cautious. There is a little bit of structure here as well, but there is still room to the downside on this thing. And no retracements, look. No retracements. Let's go down to the 60. The 60, we had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback. So guys, this is the outside return here from the swing high to the swing low. We're just simply looking for a second chance entry, trend continuation, opportunity here, second chance entry, and I would play it down to, we already at that 16600 psychological number. Didn't think we were. Yeah, we have come into that 6600 psychological number, but that has not come in at any real structure, has it? Let's look left. Well, we've got some minor structure here. So maybe you want to be a little bit cautious then if you're looking at trend continuation, but the RSI isn't oversold here on the 240, it isn't on the 60. You could as a minimum play for a retest here. But that AB equals CD pattern is something that I think would happen, and that the targets for that are a little, excuse me, a little lower, another 30 pips lower, something like that. Let's go and take a look at the 15. Marcus says is on the daily. Is on the daily. Apologies, Marcus, because of the delay. I'm not too sure what that was relating to. Was I talking about the wrong time frame of the chart? Is that what it was? Oh, on the daily, the RSI. Ah, yeah, okay, it's 16. Yep. I do think though that we could push a little bit lower. Well, actually, that AB equals CD pattern, to be honest, is right at that structure level right now with the RSI confirmation. So yeah, I would be then cautious here. Thanks for pointing that out, Marcus. But this isn't setting up here on the 240 to give us a decent double bottom. Let's go to the 60. So yeah, I would only be looking for a retest. If we go to the 15, what we did have was a very, very ugly advanced pattern. Was it the cipher? We may have had a cipher, can't remember what it was. X to A to B, B to C, CD completion. Well, if you were front running, you would have been involved with that trade and you could have used it for the move lower to the downside. Let's just take a look at the 5. Yeah, there's nothing here really, is there? Nothing here for me, but I am expecting a move lower, but be wary of that psychological number and the AB equals CD pattern. Let's move that one out of the way. If there's no questions, we'll move on to the next one. If there is, just post them in the chat and I'll go back over it. We'll take a look at the pound Aussie. Is anybody in any trades, by the way? I've not looked at any currency pairs above my 13 today. Time's a little bit short for me this morning, so I never got a chance to do it. But on the pound Aussie, we're moving beautifully here, aren't we? First of all, we have our AB equals CD pattern. We're still looking for a confirmed double bottom down at this level. Here we are within the wicks, so we can look for rotation patterns. And if we put a structure level on at the close of the candles and the lows, then you can see, looking left, we've had one test, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that makes 8 with that major test. So certainly here we could see a reaction. We're already at that 17700 psychological number, and if we just look at the candlestick formations, it isn't too much to go off, but this candle right here yesterday showed that there was more buying pressure than selling pressure. So just an indication here that we could be seeing a little pop to the upside or a big pop to the upside. Could maybe throw on some fibs. We have a 1618 that came in at those lows. We can throw some fibs on here as well, and we have a 127 that came into that zone. So we do have some fib confluence there. Let's drop down to the 240. And this was the double bottom. It looks as though we could be coming back down for another retest down to this level. And it's not, this would then be a triple test for me. So 1, 2 and a triple test here. Do have the RSI confirmation. I would prefer to see here a violation, a pullback, and then a conservative entry here, because this trade is massive. We're talking about 150 pips of risk. If we do drop down the time frames and take a look at the 60, then there just isn't too much. We've actually held this upper structure level here, so we, even on the 60, we have no confirmed violation to the upside. So yeah, we could simply wait for a pullback here. If you're a little bit more aggressive, I would drop down the time frames to the 15. You might have like a back pattern entry. So X to X to A to B, B to C, CD completion. And if you're a little bit more aggressive, you could use that as the entry. I would have my stops a little bit further back, so maybe 34 pips of risk, and the reward, if you're just using that as an aggressive entry into the bigger targets of the AB equals CD pattern, then you can set yourself up for a very nice reward to risk. So around 34 pips of risk for around 407. So they're the kind of situations where you can be more aggressive, because the reward to risk is a 10 to 1. It's more than a 10 to 1. And that might be something I do. Thing is, when I do that, I do like the risk to be under 20 pips, because 34 pips is 34 pips at the end of the day. But you know, that's a valid opportunity, and I do always talk about this, guys. But can you see how we don't just I don't like just trading the one strategy. I like to add multiple strategies together. So the AB equals CD, the psychological number 17700, the RSI confirmation, the double bottom. We have several major levels of structure that have been tested at this area, and we have an advanced pattern on the lower time frame which could be used as an aggressive entry. If not, a 2618 entry then is the preferred one. So yeah, this might be something that that I look at. What would it be if we put our stop a little bit further back? If we put our stop, use that as the entry, but had our stop back here, just to give us a little bit more safety. Yeah, you're looking at 77 pips of risk. A nice double bottom here would be nice. So lots and lots of things we can look at, guys, on the pound Aussie. Is this something you guys would look at? Would you aggressively buy the back pattern, play so around 37 pips of risk, playing for the 400 pip target? Just give me a yes or no, guys. I'm just curious. We have a variety, obviously different types of traders, some very conservative, some aggressive, some that, you know, like me, will be aggressive when we have a lot of things pointing in the right direction. I'd like to hear your feedback on it. Is that something that you would take? Let's have a look. Pete, 10 to 1 reward to risk. Hell yeah. Yeah. And we can only really be, for me anyway, we can only really be aggressive when we have more confirmation. And it's finding that balance, isn't it, between being aggressive and very aggressive, but having confirmation at the same time. Doesn't happen very often, but let's go ahead then and Marcus, yes, but smaller position size. Yeah, that's a possibility on that trade. Yeah, you could even what you could do on that trade is enter with a position size of 50%, wait for confirmation, so wait for us to go higher, put in a higher high, higher close, or a 3-bar reversal, something like that. And once you're in profit of maybe 20 or 30 pips, then add your other 50%, because it's giving you more confirmation. That's something else you can do as well. I always find that very difficult to do though, because as you do that, it does increase your risk as well. So there are just so many different ways to trade, aren't there? That's the thing, and I don't do that too often, but that could be an opportunity where we do it. Unless there's some pound news out today, I don't know whether we're going to rally down and hit for the completion of that back pattern. Let's take a look at the next one. Want to look at the pound yen. The pound yen, I've not wrote it down here, but I think we were looking bullish. No, we were looking bearish. Okay, so directional move lower, and we're. Could you make a channel here? No, there's no channel here. Okay, so we're in trend. Small retracement, small extension, retracement, and then a move lower. So this entire area here is actually the outside return, and pay attention to the fact that we are within these wicks. What I do not like is the fact that we've come into a psychological number, the 13400, and if we just look left for structure, well, I've got 1,000 candles loaded and there isn't any structure here. So let's go and take a look at the 240, and on the 240 we did actually have a confirmed break below, close below. So this candle right here did make a new low. So a little bit awkward this to draw out the trend, but the way I'm reading it is we had a move lower, a pullback, then we had a move lower, and this was the very low, then we saw a pullback, but then we made a new low. So here on the 240 we've actually now just had a confirmed break above, close above this level. So even though the dailies is indicating we could come lower, on the 240 we have actually violated the outside return, and we've now just put in this higher high, higher close as well. So consolidation now, guys. For me, we could be seeing a little pop here to the upside, So let's go to the 60. Looks as though we have a channel here. That channel formed as a result of the pole formed as a result of the double bottom, and this is not going to be a channel I can trade. The reason being is that we were not overbought on the RSI on the first test, which was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, there's the 5th. However, if we were going to rotate, I would look up here within the wicks for that rotation. These channels though, they are great for getting involved within the channel for the extension. And let's drop down to the time frame. Time and time again within channels we do see rotation patterns, so let's see if there is any that formed. Well, there's none on the 15, that's for sure. Let's take a look at the 5. Okay, so on the 5, the only rotation pattern I can see is that double top up here. So it's not really produced those double tops and double bottoms. Here on the 5 minute, we do have an AB equals CD pattern that comes into this level up here. Let me just go back out to the 60. Does that come in at any structure? No, it doesn't. So that isn't going to be anything that I'm interested in. So yeah, nothing here, guys. But yeah, certainly you could see a rotation. In fact, we do also have this level right here as well. And if the market does go higher, typically we see 127 extensions. So from the swing low to the swing high, that actually hit a 1414. 127 would bring us up to this level right here, which would be close to this rising channel. But personally, I would wait for price. If you're going to trade this, I would wait for price to come up to this level here. And if you do get a double top here, because this is a pound pair, then we can take the RSI. Actually, this is a pound pair, sorry. So we can take the RSI from 70 overbought. So in actual fact, the RSI, we do have confirmation. We only have a small amount of divergence. So just to confirm, on these rising channels, we do need bearish divergence. And on the first test, which is just here, we do need the RSI to be overbought. And since this is a pound pair, we are over 70. So actually, guys, this would be a valid rising channel. So if we do come up here, we're going to be looking for that entry. And targets are going to be a retest of the first test, which is down at this level. And yeah, there's going to be some nice pips up for grabs here. About 50 pips up for grabs. So actually, yeah, this is going to be on the radar. Let me make a note of that. So we've got the pound yen rising channel. Only problem, you'd have to hold this over the weekend, but it would be big enough to hold over the weekend. So yeah, rising channel there, guys. Pete, pound pair, we overbought at 70. Yeah, well done, Pete. Spotted it before I did. So potential rising channel. They are, in my opinion, very difficult to trade, the rising channels, because you just have to wait and wait and wait for the confirmation. They typically go higher than you think, and so for me, I need conservative entries on them. That was the pound yen. Pound dollar, guys. We this is a live trade. We're already in, so I sent out the signal for that, so I won't bother going over that. Is there any currency pairs you guys want me to go over? I've really rallied through those a lot quicker than I thought, to be honest with you. And that was everything that I had on the radar. Is there a currency pair you'd like me to go over? Just going to have another look at the pound Aussie. Make a note of the pound Aussie as well, for the back pattern, and the 2618. So there's quite a few opportunities on the radar. Some of them are going to be next week. Some of them may be just before the market closes at the weekend, which is fine. That happens as long as the trade is big enough and we don't have any obscure news that's out, or there's there's not a massive debate or something's going on in the House of Commons or something like that. Then I will take those trades as long as there's plenty of room in them, so we don't get stopped out on the open. Very quick session there, guys, so if you do have any questions, please let me know. Just while I'm waiting, I'll just have a quick scout around. I already checked out the New Zealand yen. It wasn't a valid high and tight flag for me. Let me double check this. I discounted it for a reason. Why? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're down for the 8th touch. Let me go out to the 60. We have violated structure, so we have violated this level. We're at the psychological number 170,300. That's why. We're right here. 170,300, so that invalidates that high and tight flag for me, unless we violate to the upside, then we see a pullback. Then, because we've violated that psychological number, then I can get involved looking for that 127 extension. And the reason, guys, I don't take these at psychological numbers is because of this very reason. There is always a battle that goes on at psychological numbers. And what happens very often is psychological numbers, we form double tops and double bottoms. So this for me is 50-50. It could go either way. However, if we do break to the upside, then by default it is not a double top or a triple or quadruple top. So that gives us the confirmation. So if you haven't tested psychological numbers with these high and tight flags, go ahead and do it, because you will find the win rate drops significantly as a result of them. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. Let me make a note of that one, New Zealand yen. So still lots and lots of opportunities as a result of that movement that we had there. Whether or not we'll get involved, I don't know. New Zealand yen high and tight, need break above, close above. Let's put that one to the side. Marcus, yep, 7,300 psychological number. What else? Let's just take a look at the dollar CAD, see what's happening here on the dollar CAD. Is anybody in the pound dollar trade, by the way? Give me a yes if you are. I haven't been able to do many videos over the last day or two. I've had to try and spend time away from the computer, but I did a video on that because I needed to explain the 3 targets that we're actually looking at. Yep. I think that's a good opportunity. I think we're going to end up taking targets for a retest of the lows. On reanalyzing it, I don't think we're going to be a channel because we've already come into structure. So I think if we do get targets on that, it's going to be for around 100. So fingers crossed for next week, guys. Dollar CAD. We may as well make this the last one. Again, if you do have any questions, Ashraf in it as well. We'll see if we can make some pips next week, Ashraf. When I do this afternoon's weekly statistical review, I will be just including a few emails I've got from people. I've had a couple of direct messages. I've had some direct emails as well from people. Just, I won't go into detail now, but just saying how much they love the system and how just being part of the community and actually being involved in the signal service. And again, just to clarify the signal service, it is a signal service, but I look at it as an educational signal service, and that's why I do the videos showing you the entry reason and the reasons why I'm getting involved with the trade. And that is to help with the psychology, and so we can be in the trade together. And people have just said that it's made a massive difference to their trading, to their psychology, to being part of the community, where we're not just involved in the chat, but we're involved within the trade together. And you know, I sometimes post in the chat there, don't worry about the fact that we're putting in a 3-bar reversal and it looks as though we're going to go bullish, because overall the pattern is bearish and we've had confirmation. So don't let things like this play on your mind. And I think it's things like that that just reinforces everybody's mentality and psychology, not just yours, mine as well. So I will be talking, I won't be giving out any names, but I will be just reading out a few of those very, very nice emails people have sent to me, because made me very proud. So thank you guys. So here on the dollar CAD. Morning, Stuart. This is a quick session. We're finishing at 10. I've got a meeting, so that's why I had to do it an hour early. But you can always catch up. It's only an hour session this, so you can always watch the replay. So here on the dollar CAD. Structure level on at the last major level that we violated. And as you can see, we have violated it. So I'm actually looking here, guys, at the market potentially coming significantly lower down to this level. But if we zoom in and see what price has done recently, we had a move lower, a pullback, only just made a new low, and then we saw a very deep pullback, only just made a new low, and then we saw a pullback, and now we're back down at these lows just here. So even though we're in trend, this is the type of trend that we want to be very cautious about, because this is a signal that we're running out of steam. Remember the rules, guys: long extensions, small pullbacks, long extensions, small pullbacks. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing the extension and we're seeing a very deep pullback. We're seeing the extension only just making new lows and deep pullbacks. So it's a sign that we could, emphasis on the could, be running out of steam. And yeah, we just want to be a little bit cautious if we're looking at trend continuation. No worries, Stewie. It is Friday after all. It would be nice to make Friday a non-working day, so we just work Monday to Thursday, earn 200 pips a week, and Friday is the extended weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Sounds good to me. Here on the 60, it's ugly. If we do come higher, it looks as though you have a cipher. Do you? You have a cipher? Nope, no cipher. Sarah, did you win on this cipher? I know you're an advanced pattern trader. The only thing I can see, but it's not something I can take unless it's conservative, is this. I'm going to drop to the 15 for this. Marcus, major structure just ahead of the 13000. So 13000. Let's take a look. There's the 13000. We have this key level here, don't we? Key level there and a level there. So yeah, that runs into the fact that we're running out of steam as well. So as we come down to that 13000 area, yeah, it would be a zone where I really wouldn't want to play for anything further than that. But that might run in nicely to this potential triangle that's setting up. So this is it on the 60, guys. So we've got a very nice swing in the market and a very directional pole. 1, 2, 3 and 4 validates a low and tight flag. However, we are not in trend. And I do say in the educational videos that these low and tight flags are the most profitable when we're in trend. And we're actually at structure. But if we get a conservative entry, right, let me just relook at this a different way. If we look at this a different way, you could have a wedge pattern. Problem is, again, we're still at structure. So the only thing I'd be interested in here is on the 15, if we put in a confirmed double top up here, I will take that trade and play for a 127 extension. And that 127 extension will probably come in at that 13,000 area, which Mark has mentioned on that structure level. Yep, just a few pips below it. So I will be looking for that. However, on the 60, if we do get the market that's a confirmed double top up in this level, then I will also look at shorting the market. But it has to be confirmed and it has to be a good opportunity because we are at that structure level. So it's unlikely that we're going to get that, to be honest with you, but I'll keep it on the radar, you never know. So that would be the dollar CAD. Stewie, yeah, the wedge, front run it by a few pips, absolutely. I'm just going to bring back over the we're 3 pips up on the pound dollar. 4. I love to see it in profit rather than in the negative. I'm just bringing back over the pound yen, guys, because this is that rising channel, and I'm seeing if we're coming back down. Here you go, guys, look at this, look at this. Okay, so let's go back to the 15-minute for this rising channel. Okay, sorry, the 60. Let's go back to the 60. I'm just going to delete everything off. We're going to be looking for the rotation within the wicks, so that's one set of wicks. This is the other set of wicks up here. This may be producing a double bottom entry, that's why I'm going over this now. Okay, we've got this little retest down here, this double bottom, which then gave us a rally, and if we draw this out based on the closes of the candles, going to be like that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, there's the 5th, and right down now here is the 6th. Now these channels can go on for a dozen, 15, even 20 touches I've seen before, and they typically go a lot further than you think. So as a minimum, I'm looking at the market coming up to this level, and as a minimum up to the psychological number 13500. So I am looking at the market going higher on this trade, guys, and I'm looking to see if we're going to get a double bottom. What I can do is here on the 15, if we move structure down, you can actually see that we then get a test here and then a test there, and that means then that the third test is actually here. So you see how it's important we draw out the channel, and then when we drop down the time frames we can move it up and down, and it still shows we're adhering to it. Now look at what we're doing here. On this test we went oversold, and we're going to have divergence here. So if we come down to this level, this will give me a retest of this zone. I'm going to wait to see if we get a structure hold. The ATR is 10, so I'm going to go 10 pips below the lowest point. So that's going to make 59, which is there. And targets are going to be, we're going to play it safe. We're going to play it safe for the very for the first potential price reversal zone. Look at the reward to risk that it would give us being very conservative. Are we going to come down for that test and hold though? That's the question. This would give us a risk of around 13 pips. for around 36. Can we push a little bit higher? You know what, we can get higher there. Let's reanalyze this again. Right, so we've got this test, that test. It's going to have to be that trend line. It's going targets. We should see that trend line tested. Up to this point. Let's just drop down to the 15 again. Yeah. And of course what we'll do is we will monitor, because if price just goes straight up and hits the trend line, well then we'll manually take it. Typically though, what happens is we never move in a straight line, do we guys? We typically do this. We see a little pullback and then higher, and that would mean at this point we would get our extension. So in actual fact, initially this is now going to be my target for 46, so this will be around 13 pips for 46 if we get that retest and the hold. Everybody see how I've worked that out okay? And I'll post this as a signal, guys, if we get it. Let me make a note of that as well. So that's the pound yen rising channel, double bottom, playing for 135.18s, 135.18s, 18s. Okay. Any questions on that one, guys? Apart from that, I think we're going to wrap it up because I've got an appointment in 7 minutes. Yep. I'll set an alert for this, so even though I've got this appointment, I'll get the alert for it. And I'll send out the entry. And we'll see what happens with this, with the New Zealand yen as well. So the day isn't over. Apart from that, guys, thank you very much for joining me again. Apologies for cutting this a little bit short and for being an hour early, even though I'm sure Sarah is glad to get an extra hour's worth of sleep. I will see you on the next webinar and in the chat.